podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
How you doing, Paul?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you? I understand you are on your annual scouting trip to Barcelona.
Look, for, I don't know, 10 or 12 years now, I've gone to Barcelona, sent the report back, said, look, this boy Messi's okay. Perhaps you should check him out. And they've gone, nah, don't think so. What can you do?
It's crazy.
Crazy.
You've done your best, haven't you? I understand this year, for once, you're actually going to get to see Barcelona. Always seems to be Espanyol that are playing when you're in town.
Yeah, well, it was last year, yeah. No, I've been a few times to Barcelona. So this year I'm hoping to bump into maybe, Luis Suarez. Heard his interviews have a bit of bite to them. He'll take a nibble if I ask him a few questions.
Classic Luis Suarez biting banter there. Good. Very, very 2014.
That's progress.
So, how have you managed to watch all the football that's happened?
I did.
Yeah, good.
Yes. Yep. I've enjoyed it all. Have you? I mean, it's a fine victory tonight-ish, sort of. Saint Etienne, the game over after 16 minutes or so. A interesting performance against Blackburn. I wouldn't say it was a good one. And then solid victory at home against Saint Etienne in the first round of the Europa League. All cup football this week.
Yeah, that was the first time I've ever sat in the South Stand, not for work, against Saint Etienne. I was right near the tunnel, which was kind of fun as the players go in and out and all the clappy claps and all that. That was good. So I went with Paul Gunning, friend of the show. That was a delight. But behind us was sat one of history's top 10 worst chairmans. Maybe that's harsh, but his mate said to him, "Oh, they're not serving beer," because obviously they weren't serving beer because of the security stuff around Saint-Etienne. More on that later. And then the other guy goes, "Well, you can't drink it anyway. This is why I prefer the rugby." I was just like, oh no. And then, sure as eggs is eggs, half an hour in, Paul Pogba misplaces a pass, and the guy goes, "How many million was that worth?"
That's the South Stand for you.
Give me strength. It was not good.
No, I had a few years from 1990. When did they rebuild the Stretford End?
I don't know.
92 or so.
Right.
So for 3 seasons, 92 to 95, maybe.
You were in the South Stand. You were right near the bench, right? I seem to remember.
Right near the bench, yeah. And it was the same then, yeah. People moaning or whinging, and the only entertainment was abusing the away bench because I was 3 seats away from the away bench, which was quite good fun when you got a rise out of them.
And talking of quite good fun, the Saint-Etienne game was indeed fun. But we talk of one of history's top 10 worst humans, arguably one of history's worst hat-tricks. I don't know. Definitely the worst hat-trick seen at Old Trafford since Robin van Persie's remarkably unimpressive performance netted a hat-trick against Olympiacos in the Champions League a couple of seasons ago.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, look, is it sacrilegious to say, obviously he is kind of post-human in some fashion, right? Ibrahimovic is close to God. Is it sacrilegious to say he played a bit shit? Even though he scored a hat-trick?
The problem with saying it's sacrilegious is, in a way, it's a bit like the problem with a lot of religious heresy. Sometimes it's very obvious that the heretical thing is true. He definitely scored a hat-trick, but one of them was a deflected free kick. The other one, Marcus Rashford, did literally all the work, and Zlatan did very well to basically stand in the right place, which is part of the striker's art. And the last one was a penalty. I mean, he earned it himself, I guess. But yeah, not his best overall performance for United, but nonetheless, superb to see him get a hat-trick.
Yeah.
Who did you think...
Ibra's pass success rate in that game, 57%.
Yeah, but listen, the only stat that matters is that he continued his weird stat-patting agenda against Saint-Etienne, the team they were already the team he had scored most goals against in his career, and then he scored a hat-trick against them.
It's like an abusive relationship, isn't it? They just keep coming back for more. I mean, wow. Yeah, interesting performance from United. I mean, actually very controlled. You know, at no point did you really think they were going to lose, except St. Etienne created like 12 chances in the first half, right? So you get this weird sense of security that United are controlling the whole game, you know, the kind of pattern of the game, and St. Etienne are breaking all the time and creating a load of chances which they kept missing. And strangely, you kind of felt like that was about right because they've scored, 3 or 4 goals over the entire season.
They haven't conceded very many, but it's hard to see quite how they haven't conceded that many, given their defence looked extremely permeable. I mean, Mourinho made a big change, didn't he, to the structure of that game at half-time when he decided that it would probably be a really good idea to take Marouane Fellaini off. And he was right. Like,
in any context, it's a good idea, particularly in this one. Yes.
I mean, United looked just transformed in an attacking capacity in the second half. Lingard might not have been like exceptional on a personal level, but in terms of his movement and everything, he made so much difference to the way United played.
He did, and it was unnecessary for United to have basically 3 sitting midfielders. Sure, Pogba was pushing on, but it just allowed United to get more players into forward positions, create more problems for St. Etienne's defence, which includes, of course, the great Pogba older brother, and just create more chances to score goals. You know, it was a sensible move. I just kind of wonder, at what point does Mourinho work out that at no level does Marouane Fellaini make any sense for him? It just doesn't make any sense at all. It's not how United are playing. I mean, increasingly over the season, he's gone from evolving the possession-based game that Van Gaal developed to basically a team that's exceptional on the break. United still have the majority of possession in most games, but most dangerous on the break. Is beginning to feel like a very Mourinho side. In that context, in many contexts, Marouane Fellaini doesn't make any sense. In that context, especially, he makes no sense at all.
Yeah. And if you look at the numbers, 11 of Saint-Etienne's 15 shots or whatever it was were in the first half, 7 of United's 21. So United were out, chance created by Saint-Etienne in that first half. And then in the second half was a completely different story. United completely dominated the second half. I thought that Smalling looked a little shaky, but really the problem was actually United's midfield. So at one point, Pogba is going absolutely spare at both Herrera and Fellaini. So obviously, I mean, what it looked like was that they weren't sticking to the plan, particularly Fellaini, and that the kind of shape of the side was being dragged all over the shop, really. It was an interesting moment. Like, he was really properly furious, and they did slightly get it back together after that. But yeah, no, I mean, Fellaini's got to go. It's really straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we can talk about a few players that may be going or not going after we've completed the discussion about the football games. But I don't understand him. He's a really strange footballer. He's not disciplined enough or has any kind of the skills needed to play at number 6. Like, we know that. His only possible role is to really mix it up in the box in the final third. That's the only possible role. And yet when he's picked from the start, he never plays that role.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Anyway.
Daley
broken record.
Yeah, talking of which, Daley Blind had a good game. No, that's not a broken record thing. But yeah, a very fine performance from Blind.
Yeah, stories this week that Mourinho's already decided Blink can go in the summer. He's got better options to work with.
Why doesn't he work with any of them then?
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, certainly a centre back. Yeah, a left back. He's probably been United's best left back this season. I mean, it's a mess of a position, isn't it? With Luke Shaw ostracised, Matteo Darmian not good in that role. Marcos Roca, you much rather him play in the centre, and Blint's probably the most comfortable of that quartet in that role, and he was pretty good against Southampton first leg. Good in the second leg as well, of course. Made the first goal, opening goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Ander Herrera, 93 passes, 89% pass completion, 7 tackles, 1, that is a lot of tackles, 3 interceptions. Just classic Ander Herrera doing Ander Herrera things, especially in the second half when the midfield started to make more sense.
He's had a very good season.
He has. But
right?
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. I mean, we seem to talk about him playing well most weeks. This was another one of those.
Look, he's a very good all-round player that perhaps doesn't... Remember when we talked about Ander Herrera when he first joined the club, and I said, I wonder whether he'll really feel like he's getting any plaudits, right? Because he doesn't do anything spectacular. This is what I meant. I mean, he played much further forward in Spain than he's playing right now or really at any point during his United career. But he's all energy. He's going to put the right passes in. He's very incisive with the passes, makes tackles, the interceptions, doing more of that now than perhaps he ever did in Spain, I'm sure. But yeah, very good footballer, fully deserves his place in the side, helps that midfield function.
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed a few little side things about that game. The Pogba brothers, I mean, they came out like side by side in the team lineups. That was lovely. They were chatting to each other whenever they were anywhere near each other on the pitch, which was nice. And then at the end of the game, there was a lovely atmosphere in Old Trafford at the end of that game. I guess we'll talk about the away fans a little bit, but the fans were all the players were all kind of clapping the fans, and then I noticed Pogba wasn't with them because he was with his brother doing a little lap of honour with his brother, where his brother's got like pointing at him going, yeah, this guy's good, isn't he? And everyone was clapping him, and it was lovely. The Pogba brothers show, lovely.
Well, the whole family really, so... all over social media, weren't they? His folks and sisters and the wider family. It was it was really nice. I was kind of disappointed one of them didn't put a reducer in on the other though. I really wanted that. Pogba nearly scored, smashed a header against the crossbar.
Yeah, absolutely. At Manstew FC, Stuart Barker says, so we'd all watch Keeping Up with the Pogbas, right? I know I would, definitely. A Pogba-based reality show would be the best structured reality show of all time.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest that, though.
No,
I mean, because he would be defocused on the football and focus. I mean, he's already got quite an Instagram game, hasn't he?
Yeah, so the Pogba brothers doing their thing, United doing their thing, and taking a 3-0 lead. I mean, that penalty at the end, it felt really sort of significant because that was the goal that killed the tie, wasn't it?
Oh, for sure, yeah. This is the difference. Well, Mourinho said in the press conference ahead of tonight's game that while it really could have been 2-1 and then it would have been difficult. And, not far off that. If it was 2-0 and Saint Etienne with the crowd and stuff would have felt they could have got back into this. 3-0, you're looking for a miracle. I don't know what percentage of two-legged European ties have been turned around from 3-0 at home.
I believe it's 0%. I believe it's 0%.
There you go. Yeah. There you
go. The general vibe was lovely. I nearly forgot. I'm so glad I mentioned the general vibe because it made me picture the Stretford end. And that reminds me of chinos. The Saint-Etienne physio was wearing chinos. Yeah. Someone at some point noticed this, and then every time he went on the pitch, everyone started chanting it. At one point, he's walking past the Stretford end with an injured player, might have been Pogba actually, their Pogba, and he's kind of walking past the Stretford end, and I was looking at his face, and there was definitely a look on his face where he was going, this seems to be happening whenever I'm here, but I cannot for the life of me work out why all these people would be singing it about me. It was beautiful.
Very nice.
Yeah, a very memorable moment that will live long in the annals of United folklore. The chinos guy.
I mean, aside from that, that moment and the goals and whatever, not a hugely eventful game, right? I mean, there's the kind of, you look at United's defensive performance to go, how do they not concede here? And it was nice they scored 3 goals, two lots of luck involved in 2 of the goals. Kind of wondering, that wasn't, for a 3-0, wasn't a magnificent performance, wasn't a huge European night. It was just kind of one of those run-of-the-mill ones I guess you'd expect against a sort of mid-ranking Ligue 1 side.
Yeah, a couple of other standouts. I thought Martial was superb.
He had a very good game, yeah.
And Rashford did really well when he came, brilliantly for Zlatan's second goal. And, of course, the one thing that made it feel like a bona fide European night was the Saint-Etienne fans, who were, the pyrotechnic detection dogs were presumably distracted by some other doggy activity, because there were a lot of pyrotechnics in that crowd. There must have been 50 flares at least, probably maybe double that even. An extraordinary commitment to getting flares into the ground from the Saint-Etienne fans.
Very well worked, and good on them. Look, we can't condone flares, of course, because it may cause injury, and our friend from Stretford-End Flags wouldn't like it.
So at some point, one of them definitely threw a flare, and there was a bit. I always think it's really odd how away fans can kind of the disabled fans are right underneath where the away fans sit, and it didn't look comfortable that at all. There was a bit of trouble over in one corner of the Saint-Etienne fans where they kind of almost broke through the line of stewards,
throwing wheelchairs or something.
Well, it was that kind of vibe. It didn't look nice. But apparently there wasn't any serious trouble, so that's good. And the noise and the choreographed scarf holding and all that stuff, it was just brilliant.
Yeah. So no one in the Saint Etienne side really stood out, did they? Pogba, older, you can kind of see he's quite a limited footballer. At the back, Théophile Catherine, who played for Cardiff for a couple of seasons and looked like a promising young player, has turned into Théophile Catherine. I was like, oh, hang on a minute. What's going on here?
It's a rebrand.
Very good rebrand. Yeah, all the commentators have needed to adjust their pronunciation.
But yeah, all in all, being there, it was a thoroughly enjoyable night, and being in the South Stand was very good for the view of the penalty. That was exciting, and also Zlatan's outrageous celebration for the second goal, a tap in from 4 yards. At which point he stretched his hand here I am, bask in the glory that is Zlatan. Another notch on the goalpost.
Very good. So that's the Europa League game, and then on to Sunday in the FA Cup game.
Yeah.
Trip to Ewood Park, which is not always held happy memories.
It was so funny, listeners, to let you behind the curtain here. One thing that became abundantly clear from the Rantcast WhatsApp group during the course of this game is that Ed absolutely hates Blackburn Rovers. Honestly, where do they rank in? Are they just below Leeds?
No, not at all. Not even that hated. 1995. It is still remembered. There are scars.
Yeah. The Blackburn were very creditable. I thoroughly enjoyed this game too. It wasn't a vintage performance from United, but it was. There was something good about the kind of determination, and the Blackburn were very well organised and clearly ridiculously up for it. I was not expecting them to score something that I think it's fair to call a wonder goal. Is that a wonder goal, that first goal? Superb play from Emnes and a beautiful finish by Danny Graham.
Oh, there's inches in which he could find a gap from Danny Graham, and he did, yeah. I thought the front two, Emnes and Graham, were very good. Graham, who scored a lot of goals at lower levels and not too many at senior levels. He's doing well with Blackburn now, and you kind of good credit to him for that. And Emnes I had not seen play before. I thought was very, very good. Looks like a better player than Championship level. Front two are very good, but it's really across the team. They did a lot. It's not like they defended for the whole game or anything here. They gave United a real game, and this was not a United side that was second string by any means. I mean, a few odd ones, Young at right back. Rashford had a game up front, which he doesn't get too often. Lingard was in the team. Apart from that, very strong team from United.
Darmian at left back, you've got
Darmian left back, yeah.
And Romero in goal, hilariously, as we will no doubt come to.
He's had 3 games in a row now, Romero.
Oh yeah, this is the Sergio Romero show. We're literally only games in which Sergio Romero played get discussed this week.
He's holder of the shirt. Maybe you should stay in for the cup final.
David James once said, not that long ago, that United were better off with Romero in goal. Well, it can't be that long ago because he hasn't been there that long. But I think the disallowed goal that would have been Blackburn's equaliser gave ample... have you ever seen a worse triple save? We talked about bad hat-tricks. The first save is like an okay save. The second one is smacked into his face. And then the third one, he saves and then throws over his shoulder to the offside player. It was not good.
There is 0% confidence that you get from Sergio Romero. I do remember when he joined, and there were a whole legion of people on Twitter. I'm going to assume they've probably never seen him play, or maybe once. I mean, because honestly...
Well, he just played in a full World Cup, so I imagine they'd seen him at least
They'd
six
seen
times.
that, yeah, but he was on the bench at Sampdoria at the time and had just come from the bench at Monaco. Yeah.
Apparently, behind the scenes gossip, absolutely lovely fella.
I'm sure he is.
So that's nice, isn't
Sure
it?
he is, yeah. No problem with making toast or anything. Right? Absolutely hapless as a keeper.
Lovely to see Rashford get one. Absolutely lovely. And it was a well-worked goal, a real
Lovely
pleasure.
pass from Mkhitaryan, yeah.
Outrageous, outrageously good. And Romero did well for that too, very quick thinking. 9.6 seconds, I think, from the moment at which the free kick was taken by Blackburn to the moment at which United put the ball in the back of the net. So a lightning quick counter, which you can do when the team's set up like that.
Well, yeah, exactly. The kind of goal that United can't score with Ibrahimovic in the side. Not that is some kind of campaign to get rid of Ibra, but you get something different with Rashford up front.
But then it needed something different, and in one of the most glorious middle-aged men across the country, apoplectic with rage, as United, always on TV in the FA Cup, brought on Pogba and Ibrahimovic to just destroy this lowly team. Sorry, lads, you've had your fun. The big boys are here, and they're literally just going to win it on their own. Pogba was outrageously good in the time he had in that game.
I mean, it's hard to talk up how good that goal was, right? I mean, it looks super simple. It's never going to be on a top 10 list of best goals ever.
So good.
But it's a wonderful pass, and Ibrahimovic, I mean, like most strikers would try to hit that with their left foot. He's waited half a second too long in order to steer it in. And then he's hit it with the outside of the top of his foot in order to steer it in. Just unbelievably good finish that was from a wonderful ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ibrahimovic is brilliant. It's not completely straightforward, the Ibrahimovic situation, but he is clearly brilliant. And that's just not in doubt. And that was a moment of Ibrahimovic brilliance. But yeah, Pogba's all-round performance after he was brought on, the last half an hour of that game, apart from the Romero near howler, was just a complete cruise. It was just a breeze once Pogba and Ibrahimovic came on. They completely changed the game, and just Pogba on his own completely changed the game, really. And then Ibrahimovic was in position and had the ability to score that goal, which, like you always say, one of the things about that ball was how good the run was, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, that's where Ibra comes alive. Yeah, he actually will come on to the Saint Etienne game. Tonight's game, the away game, but I thought he did a lot of good work in the channel, but he often doesn't, and it's really just the last mile of the run, the final run that he really comes alive, and obviously the finishing is sometimes outstanding, and it was on this occasion. Yeah.
So I guess Mkhitaryan Edge's man of the match for his first half performance, where he was really lively and he put in that absolutely gorgeous pass. But for a player who only had half an hour on the pitch, Pogba really ran him close, I'd say.
Well, it had the significant impact on the game.
But it just was in cruise control mode as well. It was really enjoyable to see. What was perhaps less enjoyable to see was that game really felt like it could have benefited from Luke Shaw, who has not played in any of these 3 games when he might have had a reasonable shout to start in any of them, particularly the latter 2.
Well, yes, and in a sense, it's hugely disappointing that he's not getting any kind of opportunity, and it kind of feels like one of these occasions where Mourinho is unjustifiably ostracising a player. Although that said, and that was my kind of take on it, hot take on the Luke Shaw situation. A mutual friend who said not to be named on the show told me that Shaw is up big time, and his colleagues are saying that too, and he's not putting in the application. He's living with a bunch of his mates in his house. He's not focused on football, and this is why he's not getting the opportunity.
Yeah, I have heard a similar thing, almost verbatim. I wonder if it was the same person that told us both.
I'm sure.
Maybe not, actually. Thinking about where I got this information from, I'm not sure it's someone you know. So I think this is clearly widespread anyway, that this is the case. But I mean, I've got no first-hand evidence of it, but that seems to be the vibe.
Oh, look, away from that, wouldn't it be hugely, hugely disappointing for Shaw not to make it at United?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And the thing that I think is it's very easy to just go, okay, he's messing up and he's not doing what's needed. And there's a balance here because some of it is on him and he has to just there's a kind of minimum standard that you have to get to. But the other thing is, if you are a player who is, slightly cut adrift and maybe not making the most of your potential and all this kind of stuff, I don't think Mourinho's the man you want to be the manager of that club at the time, because he's going to have a very black and white view of that.
Yeah. And he demands certain set standards, and he probably doesn't bend them by play. Ferguson was always great at changing the rules for each player. Right? We've discussed this in the past, and I'm not sure that Mourinho does. And he expects certain set standards, and he expects players to conform to that. And Mkhitaryan, it seemingly has done that, and Martial, I guess, is doing that too. Shaw apparently can't or won't or doesn't get it yet, and the penny hasn't dropped.
Yeah. Absolutely, and here's hoping that it does. We've got, it's too early to write the final chapter on this. I mean, Mourinho said this week, no, I like him, I definitely won't sell him in the summer. I mean...
Because the word on the street about that was that United's hierarchy had said to Mourinho, well, hang on a minute, we've put £30 million into this kid.
Yeah.
Don't write it all off just yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like Mourinho's necessarily plays with a straight bat. I mean, there is an argument to say the less he likes a player, the nicer he is about them in public.
He's been very nice about Wayne Rooney this week, hasn't he?
I mean, to be honest, joking aside, that is actually a really good example, and we will come to that after we touch on I guess that there's not really a great deal to be said about the 1-0. A lovely goal, Mata and Mkhitaryan combining in a way that makes you think they were born to play with each other.
Blint with the beautiful ball across, right?
Absolutely.
Mkhitaryan clearly trying to toe it in with his studs. Honest. Didn't quite get enough on it, but it was perfect.
Oh, do you think so? I didn't even occur to me that wasn't exactly what he was trying to do.
Yeah, I wasn't certain, but
you might be right.
Either way, it doesn't matter, right? 16 minutes in, that game's dead.
Yeah, completely.
Pretty dull after that. Only bit of action by his red card, which I've got to say is pretty harsh for both tackles. You're kind of that's on especially the second one, where he may or may not have got in ahead of the defender. That's very dubious, whether it's a foul, let alone a yellow. The first one, he's gone to ground. But even then, you could probably say, I'm not sure that was the yellow.
And he'll be missing for the entire tie, which is a big deal because he's been pretty great recently. Oh, he was he really wobbly in the first 20 minutes against Saint-Etienne? I think he was the first game, but he was real good in this game.
Yeah, I guess he missed one game, right, for 2 yellow cards.
No, I think you miss both legs because it's a red, So I think you miss the 2 games because he was already on the maximum number of yellows. I don't know if that makes a difference. He was going to miss the next round anyway, the next game anyway. So I think you then miss an extra game if you get a red as well.
We'll see. Double check that one. Yeah, I thought he was missing one game and then was 1 yellow away from an extra suspension, but maybe misses both, and I guess it would depend on who United draw in the next round.
Yep. Oh yeah. Talking of which, it was a bit. I was a bit crestfallen, to be honest, after the FA Cup draw because we had the fun of winning and the manner in which we'd won and everything, and then it's like first draw out of the bag or round goldfish bowl upside down thing. Was Chelsea at home, and I was just, I knew United were number 3, and
away.
I was like, not 3. No, I know, yeah, but Chelsea were drawn at home. I mean, and I'm going not number 3, not number 3, number 3. That's
so. This will be the game that the 59th game in a row that United are on TV, and the TV stations will decide not to cover this one, right?
Yeah, Mourinho back to Chelsea trying to avenge the 4-0. I mean, I was saying to a friend that Mourinho's just going to be spending every waking hour completely consumed with how to win this game. The FA Cup's never been this important since Mark Robbins.
Well, right, yeah. I mean, look, I guess United have been due a difficult one in the FA Cup. So for many years, there have been a lot of tough ties, but not recently.
No, I mean, the last really...
I mean, last season, right?
It was funny.
No one of, what was it, Palace, Everton, bunch of dross before that.
Yeah, Shrewsbury... I can't remember who else.
Yeah.
But then the season before that, we got knocked out by Arsenal at Old Trafford by Danny Welbeck. Heartbreaking.
And justifiably, yeah.
But remember the Antonio Valencia mistake? Anyway, let's not dwell on that. He's having a marvellous season. But yeah, so that'll be a big fixture. We'll obviously talk about that more when the time comes. The big news from the Saint-Etienne game, I guess, apart from the Bailly thing, was the injuries to Carrick and Mkhitaryan. So we were like an hour after the game finished, so we don't exactly know. But the noise is coming out. Mourinho were definitely that he's not expecting them to play in the cup final, and that actually gives us a really interesting selection dilemma,
Real
which
problem.
We'll come on to.
Yeah. Mkhitaryan easier to replace in a sense, in that you've got more options there. Carrick, can't. I mean, Herrera plays at the base, I guess, and hopefully that doesn't mean Fellaini comes into the side, but it might.
The key, I guess, is that they're both. It's not either of them; it's both of them. That's the combination of the two is very, because you want, if one of them's not there, the first person you want is the other one, in a way. But yeah, we'll do a full preview on that after we talked to a guest who I was about to say absolutely delighted, but you'll hear me say that in the intro of both of these interviews. It was a real pleasure to talk to Stanley Chow, who, is an actual genius. So that was good. So here's my conversation with him from earlier in the week. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by, one of the best that ever did it. Stan Chow, an absolute legend in the world of illustration, I think it's fair to say, and also a massive Red. How you doing, Stan?
I'm fine, thank you.
So what's your history with Man United?
Well, it's quite a long history, really. It started probably back to my dad's days, really. When my dad, he used to work in a restaurant in Oldley Edge, and Oldley Edge is in Cheshire, and as you may or may not know, plenty of United players live around Cheshire. So he works in a restaurant there, and basically like Bobby Charlton, Dennis Law, George Best, Nobby Styles would all go to this restaurant like maybe once or twice a month, basically. And my dad would be like, "Wow, this is amazing!" They'll give all the staff like signed shirts and stuff. And so from there on, my dad was a United fan, really. I mean, he's probably a United fan before, but this kind of like made the bond stronger, basically. So then back in the 70s, my dad left the restaurant. He bought Chippy. We bought Chippy in Altrincham, and when I was a kid, like Gordon McQueen, Lou Macari used to come in. So that was pretty. I remember like sitting on Gordon McQueen's lap once whilst he was making professional chips and stuff. Whilst they used to come into our chippy. So yeah, I had my dad kind of telling me about Man United. I had like United players come into our chippy. so that was kind of, so that was part of, my indoctrination into being a Man United fan. And as I grew older, my sister became best mates with Tommy Docherty's daughter. And it was just all United from when I grew up, basically.
So that is a pretty good. Why do you support United? Oh, because Gordon McQueen used to come and get chips. That's good, isn't it? That's a pretty good reason. Who were your sort of first United heroes?
I'll probably say Lou Macari because my dad used to talk about him loads. My dad used to go to the bookies with him, and the bookies was around the corner, and he'd come back and say, "Yeah, I've just been hanging out with Lou Macari." So therefore, it'll be like, whenever there's a United game on telly back in the late 70s, I'll be looking out for Lou Macari, basically.
Was your dad annoyed when Lou Macari opened a chip shop of his own?
Well, when he came to Arsenal, it didn't matter. So yeah. Were you ever able to go regularly? Not when I was my first game was in '83, I think, when I was about 9. But I didn't really go regularly because the chippy was always open, and I had to wait for a nice friend to take me there when I was younger. But I started going when I was a student. I used to study at the Manchester Metropolitan University, and I went there a few times. But then it's when I moved to Old Trafford about 6 years ago when I decided to get a season ticket because literally the ground's around the corner from where I live now. So yeah, that's what I go regularly now. Yeah,
it's interesting because I didn't really start going regularly till I was grown up, and I think it's a bit of a different experience in a way. It's a different sort of. You have different associations with it. What's it been like has it changed your relationship with the club to go all the time, do you think?
Yeah, it's made me more of a United fan, obviously, and it's also made me kind of be more wary of the Glazers.
Yeah,
and the anger it fuels in me when I hear about things that they do, and I'm just kind of disappointed in them in that they kind of take so much money out of the club. Where, for example, there's City, who the owners of City put so much money into the club and into the city itself. You know what I mean? And that shouldn't really be the case. So that upsets me more, quite a lot, really.
What are some of the things they've done that really got to you?
Just the fact that they kind of that we're still in debt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's simple as that. You know, there's actually we are. We make more money than anyone else. So why should we be in debt? That's just literally the tip of the iceberg, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like there's other parts in the club where they should be investing more in the club program, the club magazine, in MUTV. With the money that United make, it could be the best. No, it's a bad program. It could be the best program. It could have the best writers in. Like MUTV could be a really good, TV station. Then I'm not saying it's bad. It could be better, basically. By investing more money in. Basically, that's how I see where the troubles are, really. It's kind of like, okay, fair enough. We're making all these kind of like commercial partnerships. But where's the money going? It should be spread throughout the club. Instead of kind of people kind of having to be sacked from different departments. That's my gripe, really.
Yeah, I think that's a gripe a lot of people would share. Your work, obviously. So just for people who don't know, I think I would go so far as to say everyone listening to this will have seen some of your work somewhere in the course of their life, or at least someone biting your style really hard.
it's kind of, it's kind of spread quite quite far and wide over the last few years. I'm very fortunate and lucky, I guess.
So you do a lot of work around football. Is that just because it's a passion for you?
It was actually a hobby, really. You know what I mean? Like when I started doing football players, I wanted it to be a hobby. I didn't want it to be I didn't want to make that much money out of it, because I have my own commercial business anyway, in terms of illustrating for different magazines and doing adverts and whatever. That is separated from football, and I always felt like if I brought football in too much into my work, I might start resenting football as a whole. You know what I mean? But now this was about 5 or 6 years ago. But then it just because I loved it so much, because it's my hobby of actually illustrating things football related, it just kind of seeped into my commercial work, really. And now I'm just kind of learning to embrace it more. That I'm a football illustrator, really, as opposed to like a commercial illustrator, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I noticed recently you've started Stanley Chow FC. Was that to give the football work a place of its own? Because it's not like you haven't been doing non-football stuff in the last year. Indeed, cover of the New Yorker. That's pretty big things, isn't it?
No, I correct you. I've not been on the cover of New Yorker yet. It's
okay.
New York Times is what I made. I'm still looking.
That's better in a way, isn't it? I feel like that's big. I mean, the New Yorker's great and all, but the New York Times, that's surely a much bigger circulation, you'd imagine.
True, but as an illustrator, there's more prestige on being on the cover of New Yorker.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
It's like the Holy Grail, really. When you're a student, you're pretty much told that being on the cover of the New Yorker is the Holy Grail. And once you're in that club, you kind of like It's a proper badge of honour as an illustrator.
But so the football stuff hasn't exactly stopped you doing other work, but you've clearly kind of developed. Tell us about Stanley Chow FC.
That was a weird idea that I conceived over Christmas. I basically in the old football programs, like the old United programs where you get the guys shaking hands. That was the initial kind of template, really. I mean, I just wanted to draw a footballer. I basically illustrated a generic footballer, and that was that, really. I mean, it meant to be quite a throwaway thing, really. But then my osteopath saw it, and he says, "If you just put a collar on that, it'll look like Eric Cantona." And I said, "Yeah, you might be right." So I put a collar on it. It looked like Eric Cantona. And so that's when an idea just kind of, entered my brain. I was wondering, if I just make little tweaks to this template, this guy, how many kind of, players can I actually do, and that's how it really started. And then I started asking people on Twitter and Facebook kind of for their suggestions of favourite players and iconic shirts. I collect football shirts anyway, not just United shirts, but I do have a little small collection of football shirts, and I thought I want to illustrate them. So I thought I'll try and find an iconic footballer, tweak his nose a little bit, just minimally, and just see if you can actually work out who the footballer is. Just from a few little tweaks here and there. And just by changing his hairstyle and the size of his nose, and then just create as many players as possible, basically. So it's an ongoing project. It's turned from one little illustration to an ongoing project, which I try to ask other followers on social media to give me suggestions, so I can just create a massive database of illustrated footballers, basically. But keeping the same template. So
if people want to make suggestions to you, where can they get hold of you for that?
Just follow me on at Stanley Chow FC and just drop me a line. And basically what I do is once 2 or 3 people have asked for that same person, that's when I'll start doing another player, basically.
Brill. I really like the idea that your idea of a generic footballer was Eric Cantona, basically by accident, because he's so seared into all of our unconsciousness that's when we think footballer, that's what we think.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So who was the first footballer you drew professionally?
Oh, right. Oh, Christ. That's a good question. Oh, I think it was Gareth Bale, actually. Like, and this started. This was for like a magazine or sport magazine that you get free, like with the London Evening Standard,
right, or
something like that. And so that was the first professional one. But prior to that, there was I think my reputation kind of grew like via Twitter, basically, because I did a little chubby Wayne Rooney, about 10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. And I posted it on Twitter, obviously, and then Edgar Davitt saw it on Twitter, and he says, "I want one." and naturally, I said, "Well, yeah, okay, I'll do you one," And then that's kind of how my reputation kind of started as a football illustrator, and then. And I started doing loads and just posting it up, like just out of fun, really. But then Sport Magazine asked me to do Gareth Bale. I think it was on the front cover, actually. So yeah.
It's funny because when you talk about these, I've seen all these pictures as Twitter avatars so many times that I can immediately picture exactly the illustration that you're talking about. Your style. What was the kind of origin of it? What was it that you wanted to try and convey about people when in choosing to those kind of very geometric shapes and that sort of thing?
I just wanted to kind of draw someone, make it look as professional as possible, and make it as simple as possible, so it would be easy for me to do. Really, to be perfectly honest with you, I created a style where I feel I can knock a portrait off in about an hour's time, basically. That was the idea, really, just so I can do one after the other, like on a production line, because I get bored of my work quite easily. So basically, I just want to look at my work, bish bash bosh, get it done, work on another one, and I needed to create a style that I could do quickly, but at the same time. But the most important thing was to actually get the likeness. Otherwise, the style doesn't even matter, really. It could have been any style, but the most important thing is to capture that likeness. But yeah, ultimately, he's trying to get from A to B in as short a time as possible. Is why that style is created, basically.
So, of all the sort of footballers that have seen your work, are there any out there that you think I would really like it if they'd seen this particular drawing I've done of them?
You know what? To be perfectly honest with you, I don't actually care if they've seen them or not, really. You mean it's not something I ever worry about, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
But no, that's a hard question. I never even thought about that one. Because most of the United ones I've done now, the actual players have seen them all, basically. So that's quite nice, because what you get is like, what I've noticed more recently is you get fans that buy my prints, and they'll go along to kind of like press things and get the players to sign them, you see. But I don't know. I'm looking around the room. Pirlo, that's the one. Yeah. In fact, actually, I just noticed my Pirlo. I do love my Pirlo. I love Pirlo. He's a very handsome man.
He is.
And that's the reason why I did him. And when he grew his beard, I felt he was even more handsome. And I'd love to see him. I'd love to know what he thinks of his portrait. You might have seen it. I don't know.
I have.
As I know, like most United players have seen their own. I mean, I had Juan Mata using one avatar for his Instagram page a few months ago. So that was quite nice.
That's pretty good, isn't it? Especially since it's Juan Mata, so you feel like he'd appreciate the artistry behind the work somehow.
Oh yeah, it was great when someone like tweeted me, Juan Mata's using your picture. It's like, oh my god, that's amazing. But then like somebody introduced me to Juan like at some fake football thing, and he said, "Look, this is Stan. Like, is your picture? Is this picture that you use for his Instagram picture?" And he came all over really apologetic. "I'm really sorry for stealing your picture for permission." I'm like, hey man, it's fine. You know. It's really cool, you know. I'm more than chuffed that you've been using it. I illustrated Ashley Young, and I put it on Instagram. I tagged him in it, and then the day after, he untagged himself. So I guess he didn't like
it. Oh, that's good. That is really good.
So not all of them are like, are home runs. You know, some, I don't think all the players like the ones I've done. Yeah.
That is an excellent story. And talking of current United players, what do you make of United at the moment? Are you in the camp that sees a kind of big underlying improvement, or do you think maybe there's a bit of Emperor's new clothes somewhere between the two?
I think the United squad is great at the moment. I think like, don't get me wrong, like all teams need improving, but for where we are now, and after seeing the last 3 years, I think the squad is really good. I like the fact that we can actually put out 2 first 11s that look really strong. You know, I remember like a few weeks ago, I mean, like against Wigan, we put out it was a complete new lineup, and then the week after against Hull, there's another completely new lineup.
Yeah.
But both teams look strong. You know, I mean, like during the FA Cup, so many teams put like a second string team and messed up basically. But you know, we have a second string team that looks almost as strong as the first 11. You know, it's come to a point where we don't even know what our strongest first 11 is now. And I think that's actually a good thing, you know, because I think it gives other players not more opportunity, but it gives them more impetus to maybe work hard and get into the so-called first 11. But there isn't a first 11. I think Jose's chopped and changed it enough to make all the players feel like they're valid squad members.
Yeah, and who are the players in the squad that have stood out to you this season?
This season, well, yeah, and Tony V.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like he's looking like the best right back we've had since, I don't know, Gary Neville. I don't know, since Raphael. You know, he's been formidable this season, and I mean, I love it when Juan comes on. You know, he seems to pop up and do good things.
Yeah. I feel like Tony V's face is the closest to a Stan Chow illustration in real life in the squad.
Which is ironic because I've not actually done Tony V yet.
I feel like you just put up a photo and you're pretty much there. It's the cheekbones.
Yeah. But in general, there's been no real... like for me, there's been no kind of like a shining star this season. I think like generally, like most of the players have upped the game, and I leave every game with being impressed by someone different every week, basically.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously some players have really bad games, but they make up for it like a few weeks after, you know. And I mean, it's been great this season, to be perfectly honest with you.
That's kind of how I feel about it. I mean, I understand when people say, "Yeah, come on, we're 6th in the league. That's not great," but I don't think I mean, there's been games which have been really frustrating, but at Old Trafford in particular, I don't think we've been terrible at Old Trafford all season, really, have we?
Well, I think the only game that really disappointed me was the Hull game.
Yes.
I mean, the last Hull game, I mean, because we just didn't have any fire in our bellies that game. Where the other games, like Stoke, Burnley, Everton, I felt we should have won them easily, and we played great football. We just didn't score those goals, which was that's the most frustrating thing about it. I mean, like there were games when I'll leave the game, it'll be a draw, and I would have felt happier than times when we won 1-0 the season before. You know,
yeah.
There's a few games like 1-0 last season. I'm like, we only won 1-0, and that was because the football was atrocious, and I hated it.
Yeah.
You know, but there were games like this season where it was 0-0, the football was great, and and I feel like there's more potential in this team with the new manager than the season before.
Absolutely. Well, I think on that optimistic note, Stan, thank you so much. This is a pleasure. It's a real pleasure to speak to you. I'm a huge fan of the work, and long may it continue.
Thank you very much, Paul.
All right, take care.
Cheers. Bye.
And a massive thanks to Stan for joining us. A pleasure to talk to him. Should we get some feedback from the listeners at this point, Ed, before we start talking about Southampton?
Listeners. No. All right.
How many pints of Guinness have you had? You need to, at this point, we need full disclosure.
I had 3. I mean, it's a warm-up. That is not even proper drinking.
I think the last time that you recorded a Rantcast Tipsy was the bonus thing we did when RVP signed. And the time before that was the Champions League final when we recorded some stuff in the pub.
Well, yeah, that was a few more than 3 pints.
Yes, it was indeed. At Paolo_Cruz says, just finished a tie against a French team, so rank the French players who have played for United. How many till you get to Prunier? That was a good question.
Could you name them all?
I don't know about all of them, but I'll have a go. Eric is obviously number 1. Evra number 2. Martial number 3. So there's Laurent Blanc. Is he next? Oh, Fabien Barthez. I suppose he nudges out Blanc for just sheer longevity. And also, did Blanc ever have a good game for us? I'm not convinced.
He wasn't that bad.
Who have I missed? David Bellion. Not one of the all-time greats. It's fair to say.
Look, shall we debate
I'm
that?
missing someone.
Is Bellion amongst the all-time greats?
And then Prunier last, I guess. I think he's bottom of the pile. I think Bellion scored once. Did Prunier just play the once?
No, I think he played a couple of times. I mean, he played in that 4-1 defeat at Tottenham, didn't he?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm saying yes like I know. I've got no idea. The William Prunier legacy escapes me. Have I missed anyone? Have I missed any big... Oh, Paul Pogba, obviously. Right. He's right up there at the toppermost end. Morgan Schneiderlin. I don't know where he fits. Above Blanc, below Barthez. It's very arbitrary, this ranking business.
I mean, Barthez was okay for a season or so.
Yeah, he was.
And his craziness came out.
It all went wrong. At Follow My Trawler says, I reckon Zlatan must be the United player I'd least like to fight ever. who would join him in United's all-time hardest 11?
Well,
if you don't think you'd rather fight Zlatan than Keno, I mean, I definitely Zlatan might show mercy and let you walk away with all your limbs intact. Keno would not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite sure Zlatan is very hard, but not psychotic.
Eric, you would not want to pick a fight
I mean,
with
Eric's
Eric.
unhinged.
Those tackles.
So, yeah, you're not quite sure what he'll do. Yeah, I mean, basically, pick most of the 94 side. They were hard.
Yeah, they were. I mean, Brian Robson, obviously. Although you just, push his shoulder the right way and it would dislocate and you'd be all right. I don't want to fight anyone. The least physically impressive Man United player ever could probably beat me up, I think it's fair to say. Such is my very limited fight-based experience. At FPDad01 says, if United win the Europa League and get the Champions League spot, who would you most like to be 4th in the Premier League at the time? City or Liverpool? Rantcast fan from Manila. Thanks, Fred.
Nice. As an alternative to who would you least like to win the Premier League?
Yeah. I think, I mean, obviously Liverpool, obviously. But I mentioned this the other day and loads of people sent me messages going, even if the 4th place team would get a place if United won the Europa League. Now, I really thought that wasn't the case anymore. I thought they'd said definitively that's not the case.
No, they won't. No, I checked this up because I took your facts on the podcast and wrote it in a piece on Rantcast and got corrected as well. So, no, apparently English teams would have to win both the European Cup, Champions League.
Right.
Sorry.
What, a team not in the top 4? Like Leicester would have to win it?
Yeah. Leicester and United would have to win the Europa League, both outside for the fourth place to miss out. Yeah. Could happen, but unlikely, yeah. By the way, French players that you missed out, some good ones here.
Sure.
Mikel Silvestre.
Oh dear, yeah. Do you remember when we watched Man United 2, Newcastle 1 in the mid-2000s, and we were right down the Stretford end in the North Stand, and the goal was scored in front of K-Stand, the Newcastle goal, and you were like, I've no idea, I can't see from here, but that was definitely Mikel Silvestre's fault. And then it was absolutely Mikel Silvestre's fault when we watched it on telly later.
Yeah, but he could hit a 90-yard crossfield pass like no one.
Yes.
Wow, he had a heavy left foot. Louis Saha, we didn't mention.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a big oversight. I loved watching Saha play.
Me too, yeah. I mean, I'm very unlucky with injuries for United, but scored 40-yard goals for the club. Gabriel Obertan.
Oh, yes.
Is he still at Newcastle?
I think not. I think he is not, but I wouldn't swear to it. He was there for a lot longer than seemed reasonable to expect when they signed him.
Uh-huh.
Is that it? That's all the ones I've missed? Okay. I feel like out of that list, really only Louis Saha warrants mention in the potential top 5.
Wow. Harsh.
Harsh on Silvestre, do you think?
One of the strangest transfers ever, wasn't it, Silvestre?
Thinking that.
Leaving United for Arsenal.
2 of the strangest transfers, really. Silvestre going to Arsenal and Obertan going to another Premier League club at the time. But yeah, no, the Silvestre one was completely bizarre. We sell you, Silvestre, you sell us Van Persie. That kind of shows the way the relationship went between Wenger and Ferguson over time. At King Khaled 7 says, how can we learn from the Saint-Etienne fans? Their support is simply amazing. They did not stop for 1 second. I mean, it's not about learning from them. It's about recognising what the kind of cultural expectations of the ground are. If United's ground was that big, then they'd make the same amount of noise as that, because the people who got the tickets would be the people that would do that.
Maybe, or the way tickets are allocated these days, maybe not. Because it might just be the people who paid most money to get in there. True. I mean, look, as someone who's spent a lot of time going to games in the early 90s and late 80s and stuff, there was a great atmosphere at Old Trafford. Right? It was one of the grounds that really did generate it, and the Stretford end and the K-Stand both standing played off each other. And plenty of games where, anecdote for you, the one and only time I have taken my mother to a game, I took it in the Stretford end, she hated it because everyone was bouncing on each other for the whole game, and I'm pretty sure someone urinated down the back of her leg. So it's like, hey, it's Stretford end, that's what you do. Atmosphere
comes at a cost, it's fair to say.
Yeah, that's right. So, what we have at Old Trafford today, where it's a mixture of, sure, that crowd and season ticket holders have been there for 50 years and are all 90 years old, and people day tripping and lots of tourists and stuff like that makes a difference in terms of like what you get out of Old Trafford. And you still do have the group of people who want to sing and have their repertoire of songs, and United still probably has the biggest repertoire of songs of any team certainly in England, but they're not able to generate the same atmosphere as in the past.
And there's a few real specific things too. First of all, one of the things that you absolutely have to factor in is the weird acoustics of the three-sided ground. The multiple heights at Old Trafford really messes with the acoustics. So if you are in the K-Stand, you can hardly hear the Stretford end, even when the Stretford end is really loud. I mean, you only have to be a little bit of the way across the halfway line in the North or South Stand, and you can't really hear the Stretford end. So there are these kind of acoustic problems with the ground, and if you are standing in the top tier of the Stretford end, most games you'll feel like you're in a ground with a good atmosphere, because around there it does have one. It gets really noisy even in some of the smaller games, but a lot of that noise is kind of bounces off the roof and doesn't travel, and the atmosphere is very contained in specific sections of the ground, and I don't really know what you can do about that. It will be very interesting if they ever did make all the ceilings the same height to see what would happen, especially if they re-angled the ceilings, Because I think the fact that the roofs kind of slant downwards, it must have a kind of dampening effect on the sound.
Yeah, maybe sound editor, producer Tom could tell us.
Yeah.
Oh, well, look, of course, we didn't talk about it a couple of weeks ago when there were yet again the same sort of noises coming about United doing a feasibility study into boosting ground capacity by working on the South Stand.
Yeah.
Right. So funny this was. So United announced their redevelopment of the old K Stand scoreboard and the disabled facilities there is going to cut down capacity on about 3,000. I write a piece saying this is highly commendable and well done United for taking the lead on this. But by the way, in terms of developing Old Trafford, nothing's happened under the Glazers at all. We're falling behind competitors because Arsenal obviously got new ground, Spurs getting a new ground, Chelsea getting a new ground, Liverpool extending the ground, City extended the ground, and so on. And then not 30 minutes after I posted that one, stories started coming out about United potentially doing that. Terrible timing. All the PR department's very, very concerned about United Rant's influence. I'm thinking that's probably not true.
Seems a little unlikely. It seems
very unlikely, yeah. But look, I know they did a feasibility study about 5 years ago. It looked like it was very expensive. They're waiting for technology to develop enough that they don't have to go over the train tracks. There was a concern with the houses on that South Stand side. Would they have to buy them? They bought a load of houses at one stage and then sold them all back again when they decided not to redevelop. So, there's a big question over the South Stand. For the moment, United are stuck where they are and will in fact lose capacity. And they won't be balancing out the height of the roofs and all of that. Nothing will change.
Yeah, I mean, the feasibility study was suggesting that because the technology's improved, the train tracks aren't as much of a problem as they used to be in terms of the building technology having improved, which I just thought was interesting. For just as a kind of this is what's happened in society, and so it'll be, as you say, it'll be fascinating to see what happens next. Couple more questions. At Cryptic Android, this is a question we get asked from time to time. The long-term listeners will no doubt know the answer to this one, but he wants to know how we first met. We were very small children, and our mums were friends. There you go. That's what happened. I don't ever remember a time before I knew you, Ed.
It was a wonderful time, let me tell you.
The best time. United are advertising for a player care assistant, says at Trisha. Who do you think needs the most caring and assisting in the team? Player
care assistant. What does a player care assistant do? I guess this is a bag carrier.
Well, we have a clip from Trisha has provided resource material for this. Assisting with all aspects of relocation requirements, including hotel and rented accommodation. Assisting with all aspects of settlements in the UK, including setting up mobiles, email addresses.
Yeah, because the players don't do anything for themselves these days. Yeah, sure.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's very easy to be snarky about that.
I'm not actually being flippant. I'm sure this helps a lot when you bring a player in, especially from outside of England. Perhaps they don't speak English. Someone to help with all of that kind of stuff and take that stress away just allows them to focus on football.
Yeah. As for who needs the most caring and assisting, I think it might be Luke Shaw at the moment. At Maz_man_UTD, friend of the show, says, I know it's too soon to talk transfers, but how expensive would it be to trade Chris Smalling for Mike Smalling?
Yeah, wow. Strange player, Smalling, isn't he? You keep feeling like he's going to progress to be a very good defender.
Yeah. 27-year-old Chris Smalling.
Yeah, and then looks like he's not again.
No. At Gary_1105 says, have you spoken to your siblings as much in the last 5 years as the Pogba brothers have in the last 90 minutes? That was Roy Keane's quote that I was trying to...
I mean, wow, harsh from Keane, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because, somehow speaking to your brothers is not manly enough.
This is the thing. The problem with that is not that Pogba talked to his brother too much in the last 90 minutes. It's that Keane hasn't spoken to his siblings enough in the last 5 years.
It's like it'd be a bit wet, a bit gay, isn't it, talking to my brother.
At Sarnia Redwood says, would Timothy Fosu-Mensah be a best last 20-minute sub than Fellaini? Depends what you need, but it's an interesting point.
Yeah, it kind of does. I mean, from a defensive point of view, which is it's quite often when Fellaini's brought on, Fellaini's a total liability. Now, it's not like we've seen Fosu-Mensah in the first team in a defensive midfielder role very often, hardly ever. He's a very talented player, very, very talented player. In terms of like, if you're desperate to score a goal and you're going to launch it, you want Fellaini up there for sure.
At J Horry says, on the next Rankcast, can you recommend some United books very quickly? Fergie's first autobiography, both Keane's autobiographies, the Danny Taylor, This Is the One, the story of Alex Ferguson's 04-05 and 05-06 seasons. Zlatan's autobiography, when it gets updated to include the United chapter.
That should be entertaining, shouldn't it?
Any that I've missed? Big ones? Any good big ones that I've missed?
No, I mean, we did this on a Patreon backers bit a few months ago, no, didn't we? Or we definitely.
I don't think we've ever done United books. We did more books more generally.
No, they're all very good. The other one I enjoyed, a few years old. This one is Eamon Dunphy's Strange Kind of Glory. If you can accept the kind of snarky criticism. I mean, I can't stand listening to Dunphy. I just can't do it. It's not healthy for anyone. But the book's quite good. It goes into the kind of shenanigans of how the club was structured and run in the 80s.
So I'm going to breeze through a couple. At Bulls says, given the figures quoted for Griezmann, who's not a natural fit for the current side, wouldn't Verratti be a much better option for 80 to 100 million? I've seen loads of people say this.
You can't market that. Come on.
And also, my mum's cousin doesn't know Marco Verratti's dad. So I'm less interested in that transfer on that basis.
So your mum's cousin's milkman's hairdresser.
At Waldinho 2000 says, what relation is the Falcao that plays for Monaco to the one that played for United? Nephew?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, he absolutely destroyed John Stones, didn't he? I mean, when he's turned him in and John Stones is all on his arse and he's chipped it in. I mean, not only is that an amazing goal from Falcao, absolute worldie, but he's just ruined John Stones there. I mean, after that game, the only logical conclusion you can come to about this player is that he's a far better striker than he is a defender.
Yes. At Carl Matchett says, what is an Ashley Young? Why is an Ashley Young? All right, Carl, having a go. You're playing James Milner at left back, so you know.
I can't remember. He's about £1.6 million per goal scored or created, something like that.
Twice in the last 2 weeks. It's a staggering amount of Ashley Young-based content we've seen.
And perfectly acceptable as well at right back.
Yeah, few times where it was a bit like, if you were 10% better, you'd have been a heck of a player. And the final question, which is not I'm only including this question as it's a natural segue into a topic we kind of have to discuss. This is not #agenda. When Rooney leaves, will his performances over the last few years tarnish his legacy? Asks at the Curse of Chris. Now, I think the answer to that is no. I think that, in fact, the sooner he leaves, the quicker people will be to completely rewrite the last few years of history. Yeah. And I'm fine with that. I've got no problem with that.
No, I think that's what people will do. And I think he'll get a very sort of positive legacy and obituary. That's not the right word. But on his United career. Yeah. I'm fine with that too. So I think one of the interesting things about Rooney, though, is not only is it about his performances, but it's about the way he leaves. And I think there's credit due to Mourinho here for how he's very successfully managed Rooney out of the side with very little drama.
Although it looks like there has been some drama, or at least someone somewhere is trying to concoct some drama in the last few days. Because there's serious football journalists reporting that Rooney is seriously considering, or someone somewhere is seriously considering Rooney to move to China, like now. Yeah,
well, so it seems like there is more pressure coming from China than from within the Rooney camp, and maybe United have made the decision that they're okay Rooney moving on, so if you believe Red News and their sort of snarky, insidery, gossipy Twitter stuff. They're basically insinuating that Mourinho hasn't spoken to Rooney in months. I'm not sure that's quite true.
Did you mean red issue, by the way? That doesn't sound like red news.
Red issue, sorry.
Red news are an all-round friendlier bunch.
Snarky, mean, snidey, kind of bitchy. Yeah, definitely red issue.
Yeah.
Barney's very nice. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see whether that's true or not. But perhaps the club have made the decision, right, now that they're okay with Rooney going. Whether now in the summer, and really is only a matter of timing now, isn't it, rather than if. And Rooney must have made the decision because there's no route back from here for him. It's not as if he's suddenly going to find form and he'll be back in the team. Mourinho's made the decision that he's not a part of this team.
Absolutely.
Best he can hope for is 10, 20 minutes here and there.
He's part of the squad, and the best he can hope for is 45 minutes or 90 minutes against lesser teams as well. But, in the big games, he's just not going to be a factor, is he?
Barely started a game in months.
Yeah. I mean, no, absolutely. And he hasn't started a big game. And the couple of times where Mourinho turned to him, it was a mixed success. Although, in the end, there was the goal, there was the pre-assist against Liverpool. But the all-round contributions clearly aren't there. But yeah, I think it'd be a massive story. Imagine if by the time the next rank goes out, Rooney's moved to China. It just seems impossible to even imagine that could be a thing.
So here's a question for you. What wouldn't you do for £35 million a year?
There's so many things I wouldn't do because I don't really care that much about money, and I just want enough to be not have to worry about bills. That is my financial goal.
I mean, to be fair, you're not going to worry about too many bills with £35 million a year.
No, but there's just so many things I wouldn't do. The list is so long. You don't need 35 million. What's that going to do for you?
There were reports this week saying Carlos Tevez has decided he doesn't really like China. He's playing at Shanghai Shenhua. And he'd quite like to go home in the most predictable headline of the year.
Shocking news.
I can just see, when Rooney's playing and it doesn't look like he's going to some big metropolitan centre. Rooney in a few months' time. It's a bit like a foreign country, this one.
Right, so talking of Tevez and Rooney, they played together in the glorious United 2007-8 series. And our next guest recently wrote a video for You Max It, which I think I mentioned in the interview, actually, which was a kind of illustrated history of that team and the tactics of that team, which is well worth a watch. But he's a Southampton fan. And so I thought, given that we normally do terrible previews, and this is an actual cup final that we should probably give due respect to previewing, I had a chat with Alex Stewart about Southampton. Absolutely delighted this week to be joined by Alex Stewart. Alex is a football writer and a Renaissance man. Alex, is that fair? Would we go?
I think that's quite harsh on 16th century Italy, but
but also a Southampton fan.
That I am. Yes, I can't deny that.
I was thinking about how I don't really know anything about Southampton. I was going to go so how's Ronald Koeman doing? And I was like, nope, that's definitely not right. It's the quietest manager in all of football, Claude Puel. Is he doing a good job?
Well, we're in a cup competition final, aren't we? So that's something to be pleased about. I think things have been quite up and down, and I know there's been disgruntlement within certain sections of the fans about the fact that we've not built on the successes of last season and the season before, when we've been sort of slowly crawling up the table. The experimentation with having Nathan Redmond as a striker hasn't really worked. He looks much better out wide. Tadic, who was superb for us last season, hadn't been playing as much as he should have done. But now we've signed Manolo Gabbiadini, and he looks very, very good. We've signed Martin Caceres as well, so he's bringing in some good people. And I think the January window was good for us. So I think it's not even the second half of the season, is it really? The final third of the season will be perhaps a fairer way to judge him. But I'd say it's pretty 50-50 at the moment.
He's the quietest person I've ever heard speak in real life, I think. I was sat in a press conference and he was mic'd up and I just could not hear a word he was saying. I wonder about his communication with players. I mean, it seems almost reductive to wonder about that, but it's verbal communication is surely like an important part of a manager's job.
Yeah, verbal communication and presence. And I mean, he signed Jeremy Pierre from Nice, and I think, which was the team he managed before, and the two of them kind of came over together, and then Pierre very unfortunately got injured and has basically been out for the entire season. But I do wonder whether that was part of a sort of, to have somebody in the dressing room who'd worked with him before, who understood him, because he had no reputation in English football, really. I'm not saying that like that's a bad thing. I mean, Silva at Hull had no reputation in English football either, and he's doing a great job. But I think sometimes if a manager comes in from a smaller side abroad, it can possibly be difficult to kind of bring a dressing room around. Having said that, I also suspect that Southampton are one of the more, I don't want to say pliable clubs, but, we've had a reasonably high turnover of managers, but we've had good ones. And I think there's probably a confidence in the dressing room that the people we're bringing in are good people to work with and for. So, I expect that the players, we don't have a high turnover of players because people are desperate to leave because Southampton's an awful club. We have a high turnover of players because players do extremely well at Southampton and attract the attention of bigger clubs, and we can't hold on to them. So, I think the atmosphere there is good, the structure there is good, and people have confidence in what the backroom leadership team are doing. But I think your point is very valid. Is he the sort of guy who can really dominate? Maybe that's why it's taken him a bit of time to get his ideas across. And I think that he's had an issue for me in terms of the setup of the midfield. We've got some very strong central midfielders, but he kind of has vacillated between, we've played this sort of mostly Oriol Romeo in the holding role where he has excelled. But then the two players that are alongside him, it's Stephen Davis, or it's James Ward-Prowse, or it's Jordi Clasie, or it's Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and he hasn't really settled on what combination there he wants. And I think that's probably the area where I've looked at him and gone, you need to be more emphatic, you need to be more assertive, and stick with a couple of guys and really develop them in those positions. And Højbjerg, I think, is a fantastic player. Classy should have been really good and just hasn't quite kind of developed in the way I would have hoped. But no, I think he's done all right for a quiet man.
I feel like it would be good if he could prove that there's more than one way to run a dressing room. But that's on behalf of quiet people everywhere. He could be a quiet champion, which is better than Ian Duncan Smith being the quiet champion, I guess. Anyway, that's a whole. We don't want to.
No, let's not go into politics.
Tune into the Illustrated Game podcast if you want to hear either me or Alex talk about things other than football. It's a football podcast in theory, but
it's just not, though, is it? It
No,
just
it's not.
isn't a football podcast at all. I mean, our conversations roam. God, I can't even. We've talked about all manner of stuff on the Illustrated Game. Joe seems to do everything he can to draw the conversation away from football.
Yeah. He asked me a load of questions about football the first time I went on. I was really offended. It's like, oh, right, okay. Is that all you think I'm good for, Joe? Anyway, we just promised we would talk about Joe during this, so that's why that happened.
We did, yes. Hello, Joe.
Hi, Joe. One of the things I wanted to ask about is tactics. So I guess we're looking at a 4-2-3-1 for Southampton, but what are the kind of nuances about that formation for him, and what do you think are the areas where they need to do well if they want a chance against the mighty Manchester United?
Well, yeah. So it's sort of we've oscillated between a kind of 4-3-3, a 4-1-2-1-2, and sometimes kind of pushing up into a 4-2-3-1. So the fullbacks are both, I mean, as is kind of de rigueur these days, I think, quite advanced. And Bertrand particularly is very strong. Romeo tends to drop back as the deeper lying midfielder, very much as a kind of anchor man, screens the back line, sometimes even drops as deep as sort of almost becoming a third centre half, very much like Victor Wanyama did for us when Pochettino was in charge, and something that he sort of carried over into Spurs, using either Wanyama or Dyer to do the same thing. Alongside Romeo, then you've got two midfielders, one of whom is more sort of box-to-boxy and one of whom tries to break forward a bit more. Like I said earlier, it's sort of Peckham from four, really. Stephen Davis, I think, is probably the strongest of that. James Ward-Prowse is a superb player with probably the best dead ball delivery, certainly in Southampton, arguably of any English player playing at the moment.
Wow.
He's like, his corners and free kicks are something else, but he's not quite there yet. I think Højbjerg's got real industry, very, very good, neat passer, but I just think he's maybe a little too similar to Davis. And we become perhaps a touch one-dimensional if the two of them play.
Right.
Ahead of them, you've then got, at the moment, I mean, say the game we beat Sunderland most recently, it was Tadic, Redmond and Gabbiadini, the new signing. What we were doing previously was often playing almost without a striker. And there was this sort of rotating front three who could kind of go wherever they like. Long would sometimes be playing, but he's quite a kind of, he's not really an out-and-out striker. He's there to chase down balls and pressure the centre-halves. And I think the burden of goal-scoring and creativity was very much foisted on Nathan Redmond, Tadic, Sofiane Boufal when he wasn't injured, which he seems to be quite a lot, unfortunately. Again, Jay Rodriguez as well, who's sort of a striker, sort of an inside forward. So I think we're now going to be more predictable in that I think Gabbiadini will be the focal point, a proper striker, if that's not a rather kind of odd phrase to use, with Redmond playing wide right as a winger and Tadic playing on the left, but kind of drifting inside and licensed to get right across into the hole and try and make stuff happen as well. Where can we beat United?
That was literally my next question.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. Defensively, the departure of Font has certainly weakened us. I've always had concerns about Yoshida. Jack Stevens has the potential to be very good, but he's still young. So, I mean, the first thing we need to do is ensure that our centre backs, with the support of Romeo, have a strong game, that Romeo picks up either Zlatan if he drops off deep or whoever's playing in the hole behind him. I think you'll see a very combative central midfield performance, trying to deny Pogba time on the ball particularly. I did some stats work for UMax on Pogba, and he definitely suffers when teams press him hard. He has much less of an impact as opposed to against teams that drop off. So I think you'll see, really kind of snapping into tackles and squeezing the ball a lot. And, we played for a good 3 seasons as a properly effective pressing side. So I don't think that'll be too much of a problem. And then it's looking to exploit the fact that we've just got in Tadic a very tricky, creative player. Redmond's got a bucket full of pace and Gabbiadini can score goals. So, I don't think there's going to be anything incredibly complex about what happens. It's going to be keep it tight, squash your danger men and see what we can do on the break.
So what worries you about United's setup? What do you look at and think, uh-oh?
I mean, you've got some very good players. Zlatan I think it's fantastic that he's doing so well, particularly at his age. People coming and going, he's a flat track bully, he can't do it in England. He's past it, he's only in it for the money, all of that stuff. And he's really turned around and stuck two fingers up at them in typical Zlatan style. I think you've also got in Ander Herrera probably one of the two or three most complete midfielders in the league at the moment. I'd say, he's up there with Kante and Henderson in that sort of slightly deeper central midfield role, and he is excelling. And in Pogba, you've got someone who can always make stuff happen. So I think the danger with United is that when they click, and I did quite a bit of work on United earlier in the season, and I was looking at their metrics and just kind of waiting for this to happen, because there wasn't a lot that they were doing wrong except for their shot conversion. United were actually playing pretty decent football. Their passes were reaching who they were supposed to. They were quite aggressive. They were creating a lot of chances. They were transitioning the ball forwards nice and quickly. And I think Zlatan and Pogba take a bit of responsibility for this. Partly just, I'm sure they were trying to settle and trying to impress, but they were basically shooting on sight and missing a lot of the time. And I was looking at it thinking, as soon as these guys start converting their chances, they are going to be a really dangerous team. And that's what's happened since sort of the end of November. And, we know that Mourinho is a very effective manager. Yes, there was the aberration at Chelsea last season, but I think that was more about his relationship with the players than him suddenly forgetting how to set a team up. And I think the man management aspect, the mind games, all of that crap can overshadow just how incredibly bright he is tactically. You think back to what he achieved with Inter, for example. That was a pure tactics victory, what he did with Inter. And getting players to buy into a system that was antithetical to the way they played before. So he just needed a bit of time. He needed his kind of big name players to really click for him, which they are now starting to do. And I can't see much other than a Manchester United victory in this game. Obviously, I would love it to be different. I would like nothing more. Because, we won the St. Johnstone's Paint Trophy in whenever it was. I can't even remember now. But, we've not won anything significant since 1976. So a cup would be amazing. But, you're a very good side. So it's a bit depressing.
It was going to be my last question, actually, because obviously almost everyone listening to this will want United to win. But what would it mean to Southampton to win? Like, what would it mean to you for Southampton to win a trophy?
I mean, it would be... I think anybody who sort of goes, oh, well, it's only the EFL Cup. That's crap. Every team wants to win stuff. And for Southampton with this, we had the 2003 FA Cup final where we lost to Arsenal, and we've not really troubled anybody significantly since then. In terms of actually coming close to winning something. This is a club that's had serious financial problems, relegation all the way down to League One, has basically rebuilt itself more or less from scratch. And to, the achievement of the highest ever Premier League finish last season and then a cup final this season, that's something to be incredibly proud of, however it ends up. And I don't think, I may not be a typical fan in this respect, but I wouldn't be at all bitter if we don't win, because it's a fantastic achievement to get there. I just think it would be a kind of a vindication more than anything of the way the club is run, the fact that there is an emphasis on developing young players, on nurturing talent, an acceptance that, yes, we will have to sell some of those players to bigger teams, or in the case of Font, to West Ham, and that, that there's a turnover that you have to think and plan strategically for the fact that in 2 or 3 years' time, a lot of our best players will have to have been replaced, and there'll be new people in their shoes. But to maintain an ethos within the club, a systematic approach to the way we run ourselves, despite all of that happening, and to get to a final and to have performed creditably in the Premier League for the last couple of seasons and hopefully improve our standing this season, that's a really great thing.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time, Alex. Where can the people find you?
Where can they find me? Hiding in Cricklewood, mostly. If you go onto Twitter, I'm on at AFH Stewart, which is with an EW. And I mean, I'm all over the place. The set pieces, UMax it, Put Niels in Goal, my own blog. So come find me, or just look for me in Cricklewood. I'm grumpy and I have a beard. It shouldn't be difficult to find me.
If you're a fan of Football Manager, you should definitely check out the anthology of football writing that Put Niels in Goal put out. I really thoroughly enjoyed that, Alex. £4 very well spent.
Thank you very much. Yes, it was a real joy to put it together. And we had some great writers. Joe Devine, who we've mentioned already, wrote a piece. I can't really describe it except to say the first time I read it, it actually made me cry with laughter.
It's the inner monologue of a man crumbling in front of your eyes. That's what it is.
Yeah, which, given the stuff that me, Matt Stanger, and Ian McIntosh are currently enduring on the FM17 project, is remarkably prescient.
Well, I've got you here, Alex. I mean, You've played a lot of Football Manager in your life, and reportedly, according to you, have literally never been sacked before. It's kind of unfortunate that the first time you did, it was watched by literally thousands of people.
Do you know what? When I first started doing this stuff, and the first kind of main save that I did was the Bristol City one for the set pieces, which Ian encouraged me to do. And, we were getting like good numbers of people reading that stuff. And I was staggered by it, that thousands of people were reading how a bloke sat in his flat in Crouch End in his pants and played Football Manager, which was pretty much what the scenario was at the time. We live streamed this, the Celtic Rangers game. Was it Monday? I think it was Monday. And in the course of an hour and a half, we had 57,000 people tuning in to watch.
It's beautiful.
It just staggers me. And I think it's wonderful. People get in touch, and there's suggestions, there's criticism, there's advice, there's all kinds. Like, it's really, FM has always had this real community spirit to it. People getting involved, people discussing stuff. There are some guys in the community, people like Cleon, Guido, Murray. People will know them if they play Football Manager, who are always there to discuss stuff and offer advice and support. And to kind of transition that into more of a mainstream blogging environment or sports site environment, and see that kind of carry over, and people get real pleasure from engaging with it and participating in it, is just brilliant. Yes, it's not brilliant to then get sacked in front of all of them. Rangers is a poison chalice in pretty much every respect. But to get promoted and then have your board just absolutely expect you to win the league, despite the fact that Celtic are better, Aberdeen are better, Hearts are better, you've got no money, your squad's not very good. Yes, you must win.
This is all sounding a bit moist, to be honest, Alex. It's all sounding a bit like, well, if I'd had more time, the expectations were a bit high.
No, I'm not sure that expectations were the issue. And the fact that my first choice centre-half, Danny Wilson, was inevitably always injured. But apart from Wilson, I had in the senior squad Philippe Senderos, 37-year-old Clint Hill, and Rob Kiernan. And you just can't mount a title challenge with them playing at the back. This is why I was trying weird things like Catenaccio and three at the back and stuff. I was just thinking, is there any way I can mitigate how terrible these players are? But no.
And people can follow those adventures at FM17 Project on Twitter, is that right?
It's at FM17 Project on Twitter. It's basically, it's being run off the set pieces.
Brilliant.
And It's all available there. There's live streams, there's tactics columns, there's all manner of stuff. And we should have a new episode out on Thursday. I don't know when this is going to go out.
I think
but
probably on Thursday. So that works well.
Well, there you go. So it'll be the same day. Imagine that, a surfeit of content.
The other thing that I would want to plug of yours before we let you go is the UMaxit illustrated piece that you did on United 0708, which is something that will be dripping with nostalgia for United fans, so people can find Alex's writing and Joe's drawing and talking on the UMaxit YouTube channel. Alex, thank you so much for your time.
That is my pleasure, Paul. Thank you very much for asking me on.
You're welcome. Take care. Thank you very much for that, Alex. So that's kind of the Southampton end of things covered.
Absolutely beautiful offside game as well, Alex Stewart.
Come on.
Yes.
I'm slightly embarrassed about these jokes. Like, he's our guest on the show.
We've been doing this for 6-7 years, and now you're embarrassed about the dad jokes. Come on.
That's the Southampton side of it covered. I guess we should talk about the United end of things.
Yeah, well, some decisions to make for Mourinho in the cup final, right? So if Mkhitaryan and Carrick are not fit, who comes in? I guess Mata will get a game now. Herrera, what is it going to be? Herrera, Pogba, and someone in central midfield. Mata, Martial, Ibrahimovic, Valencia, Bailly, Smalling, Blint, De Gea.
So I'm typing. If you can hear typing, it's me typing out an 11, so I get the right number of players. Dave in goal, Valencia right back, Bailly and Smalling, Blint on the left, Herrera and Pogba in a 2, with Lingard, Mata and Martial ahead of them and Ibrahimovic ahead of them. I think that's what the team's going to be. I don't think that's what the team's going to be. I think the team's going to have Fellaini in it, but that's what I think the team should be. Yeah,
actually, I probably agree with you there. I think Lingard for Fellaini is probably more likely to happen. And Fellaini plays in a 2 with Herrera, and Pogba pushes forward a little bit. And Mata will be on the right.
But the thing is, the only thing that gives me some hope is that Fellaini was so terrible, and the midfield 3 of Herrera and Pogba and Fellaini together was specifically so terrible so recently that Mourinho might go, I had to change that at half-time to bring Lingard on. Why don't I just start like that? Mm-hmm. And do you think there's no chance of that?
What dirt is it that Fellaini has on people? I mean, look, he owns a bunch of Russian hotels, right, with secret cameras.
Maybe he's just really likeable. Maybe that's it. It's just, people just want him around, so they have to keep playing.
I mean, if there's ever a candidate for purchase by a Chinese Super League club, surely it's Marouane Fellaini. Surely they can sell in. The marketing department at United can sell anything. Anything. I mean, they will convince, like, some third-rate noodle brand in, like, Vanuatu that they need to spend all their marketing budget on United's £659 million follower brand reach, whatever. They can sell Marouane Fellaini to, like, Beijing Super League club, right? Surely.
You'd think so, but they've not proven able to do that so far.
Should put YouTube... Tom. No, not Tom. One of the guys who puts those cracking YouTube videos together. Put it together. Anton.
He's too busy now. Anton's way too busy.
Yeah, but he's good at this. Look. Take one for the team. Evening out. Put a marketing video together of Marouane Fellaini. All his best moments.
It's worth a try. Surely. But yeah, no, I mean, I have to say, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't start. I mean, I would be neither surprised by him starting nor not starting. The other thing is, I think it would be bizarre if he starts Rashford over Martial, but I'm still not 100% sure of where Mourinho sits on this subject. But given how good Martial's been recently, it would be,
No, and I think Martial obviously got a rest for the Saint-Etienne game. I'm thinking that's a rest more than dropped.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Well, you say definitely, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah, it was a strong team, wasn't it?
So yeah, let's hope so. I mean, I think Martial is the sensible decision to play at left. Oh, I love Rashford, but Martial's clearly the guy who's going to be more dangerous on that wing.
Yeah, and I wonder whether there's some semblance of chance that he would play like a 4-4-2 with Mata on the right and Martial on the left, and Rashford and Ibrahimovic as kind of one as a sort of false nine. And
No, he won't.
I mean, I don't think he will either. But these are the options. No, I mean, I think this.
I wonder whether he might drop Ibra and play Fellaini up front.
Do you think there's any debate over the back four? I mean, I guess the centre-back partnership, he's been so reluctant to play Bailly with anyone other than Smalling, which I still find a bit odd.
It seems the one that will play rather than Rojo.
Yeah, exactly. So because Bailly and Rocco just haven't played together yet, maybe
they're falling out. Maybe it's like Andy Cole and Teddy Sheringham. They just don't like each other.
Maybe Mourinho just thinks there's just too much rash in that combination. If you put
that is true, and they need some. Well, I mean, Smalling's not rash, is he? He's not going to do something crazy, but he will make mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. But Bailly can kind of cover for those in a way because he's so quick. Unless he gets himself sent off, silly.
They might have a 2-footed off by Ian and Rojo.
At left back, I mean, Blint is in very good form. He was excellent against...
Yeah, and he's the only choice right now. I mean, Shaw hasn't played in months. Darmian is horrible at left back, just horrible.
Real bad.
So, no, it's definitely... Blint has to play there.
Okay, and Rocco, we don't want Rocco in the team at left back. So what is your score prediction? Are you excited about the fact there's a cup final? It doesn't feel real to me. It's so odd time in the season to be in a cup final.
It really is, yeah. And it's totally the wrong time for me because I'm abroad at the moment. And there's a lot of meetings going on, so I'm going to have to do a weird one of sneaking the first half in during a meeting, which I will undoubtedly do, and then rushing to the pub for the second half. Not ideal, that one, but yeah, no, of course I'm excited. I mean, it's another chance of silverware, very good chance of silverware for United. There was a period after Ferguson retired where United didn't get any trips to Wembley. Now we've had like 5 or 6 in the past year or so. And so
this is 4, isn't it? Because we had semis, final, Community Shield, and League Cup final in quick succession.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 4 possible trips to Wembley, United have been there.
Yeah, exactly. Second home
again.
Home
away from home.
Yeah, as it should be. A very good chance for United. I mean, Southampton, a decent side, but not the Southampton of 2 years ago. United clearly going to be favourites for this one.
After the semi, when we just scraped past Hull, we were in our kind of second malaise dip of the season, but it was really short-lived, that malaise, and we've clearly kicked out and back into some semblance of form now. So I think it's pretty clear that we're going to have a bad day and them have a good day. But that is far from impossible. But on the balance of things, we've been having more good days than bad lately. And
yeah, I mean, there are not loads of standout performances from United across the entire season, right? Not loads of them. But it feels like there's an uptick. Solid win against St Etienne at home. Not a great performance in the cup, but okay, we'll forgive it, and controlled against St Etienne away. It doesn't feel like United are in one of those dips where they'll create a few chances or miss loads of chances, it feels like this is one that United are set up to win.
Yeah, I mean, since that 2-1 loss to Hull, United are 7, 9, 12, 14, 15, 15-1 on aggregate since that game. So, we're clearly in a much better vein of form again. So I think Southampton are patchy and they have got what it takes to put in a really good performance, and we've got mistakes in us, and we've got poor attacking performances in us, but the quality in United's side should be such that we win. And Mourinho's first silverware with United, which is a really exciting prospect because it's hard to imagine it will be his last.
Of course it won't be. Surely it won't be. I mean, there's the momentum here is building towards a title challenge next season. Has to happen. I mean, he said there'll be a limited range of player movement in the summer. United are going to spend big on a few players. They're going to probably fix a couple of key challenges at full-back, or at least left-back, if Shaw doesn't make it. They'll probably bring in another centre-back. They'll probably bring in a defensive-minded midfielder. They kind of need to, don't they? And think about a forward position. It seems set that the club is set on Antoine Griezmann. Doesn't really feel like that's absolutely what's needed, but who's going to complain about another world-class player at the squad? So next year has to be a shot at the title.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we're both going to predict a win. I'd be pretty surprised if we didn't at this point after all that.
Well, we predict a win every week.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this one, I would be shocked if United put in a disappointing performance here. Yeah. So I think a win. I think it's going to be a sort of 3-1, 2-0 style. I have to pick one, right? Yep. 2-0 to United.
I'm going to go with a nervy 2-1 win. I'm going to go with because there is this kind of slight difficulty they have in certain high-pressure moments. There was the Liverpool game, so I'm slightly worried about that aspect of United's collective mentality, but I think they've the quality, and at some point it will kick in.
Do you think Southampton have enough to score?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're not brilliant. Well, Gabbiadini's been fantastic since he came in.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I think they definitely do. He's made a big difference to them.
And they're pretty solid at the back.
Yeah.
Van Dijk.
And not Fonte, because he bizarrely went to West Ham. Alex had a dig about that. You would have heard a few moments ago, but a very strange decision. But anyway, it's been a long podcast already. For Patreon backers, it's going to get even longer because we're going to keep talking for another 20 minutes or so for you guys. For everyone else, you can check out patreon.com/rantcast if you want more of the show. Otherwise, you can get me on Twitter at UTDRantcast. You can get Ed at United Rant. And you can have a read of stuff written by a whole bunch of really good writers on unitedrant.co.uk. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We really, really appreciate it. And here's hoping United win a trophy before we speak to you next.
Come on, you Reds. See you next week.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.